Let's get this movable feast underway, shall we?
We are
Hello, everybody.
certain we are certainly on the road. I mean, on the show. Well, actually, we were on the road. We were so on the road to San Diego, and now we're back. Hey, everybody, welcome. This is Torn Tuesday, and this is your post San Diego Comic Con phenomenon update. We are here with Justin and myself, Clifford, to bring you all the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit and Rings of Power updates from the Comic Con down in San Diego. Boy, howdy, it was quite a weekend. There was so much going on. Oscar winning guests from WETA, New Zealand, a big party that happened on Thursday, several all star panel presentations, and I mean world class panel presentations, if I may say so myself. Justin, are you as exhausted as I think I am?
I am so exhausted. I am
Are you
so
now?
excited, though. We had such a great time, and
Yeah.
and we love all the support. There was so much Lord of the Rings. There was Kate Hawley doing a panel about the
Yes.
costume design of Rings of Power.
She was
Um,
lovely. That was a great panel. Yeah.
yeah. I saw
Oh
Ramsey
boy.
Avery just hanging out. He wasn't even on a panel. He was just hanging out.
You
And then,
mean
of course,
Ramsey
you
Avery,
mentioned
production designer from season one of The Rings of Power? Ramsey
that's
Avery?
right.
The guy who
That's
did The
right.
Last Jedi? Ramsey Avery?
And of course
So cool.
all of you fans that showed up and came to the party and came to the booth and supported the little website. Every little T-shirt and every little pin helps us keep the servers up, keeps the message boards running.
Mhm.
It keeps the
Running.
Discord free for
Running.
everybody.
For free.
So we
Yes.
really appreciate all the support. Now, Cliff, you've
Boy.
been going to Comic Con since since the Two Towers was previewing Gollum for the first time
Just
in a toy figure.
just tell the people at home that I'm a fossil. Just go ahead. Go ahead. Tell everybody at
Well,
home that
we
I
already know
am
that,
that I am
but
a Jurassic fossil. Okay, no, really, it's true. It is true. There was a time when I was going to San Diego Comic Con and they didn't even build Ballroom 20, and no motion picture studios, no television studios were there. It was just like insane. They hadn't even built the outside buildings to the east of the sales pavilion. They
so
hadn't built it
and
yet, and it was just a comic book convention only.
Lord of the
And
Rings was one of the first crossover franchises that really took a shining to Comic Con. By the way, I'm watching the
yes,
chat room. Monica, I
true.
saw your friends or students or whoever you sent. Thank you so much. That was so charming. Like the minute they said, I'm Monica's friend, I was just, it made my day. It changed my mood. So thank you so much. But Cliff, everyone, of course, was talking about how SAG and the Writers Guild and the
Yes.
studios kind of didn't go to Comic Con. So the question for you is 20 years ago with Two Towers, how does it compare to what you just experienced at this Comic Con without much Hollywood?
Okay, it compares because the easiest thing to do is to just go to all the panels you want to go to. You can hear creatives that you want to hear. You can get right there up close and personal with the creatives that you admire, the illustrators and the writers, editors who are working on shows, animation, and on comic books and graphic novels. Panel attendance was through the roof. And because there was no bother with Hall H and nobody had to obviously camp out for 24 hours in front of Hall H. Hey there, Keith. How you doing? I'm sorry I missed you, Keith. I am so sorry I missed you. Um, it was just exciting to go to this convention and let it feel like it was more grassroots, more organic, more more of a chance to find a special connection with the creators that you like. Seeing the boys from WETA and WETA Workshop and WETA Digital giving their wonderful presentation and how happily they met with the fans outside the room. They met and took pictures and posed and did autographs with so many of the fans. It was really great. Hello from Scotland. Hello there, Harry. Everyone's really good here. Um, just a bit just a bit tired, but that's what happens when you're there for 4 or 5 days. Um,
Would
San
you say
Diego,
it was more accessible? Like
oh,
what
easily,
was the vibe?
easily. The reason why I would say yes to that's a really good question. Thank you. It seems to be so much more accessible because people wanted to be there for those reasons, to get access to really cool creative people and cool merch and cool special publications that they could not get anywhere else. And it also it felt like the people were not competing for the Hall H or competing for attention with the big studios. You could have a smaller panel in a different room, and it was way, way, way better attended because you didn't lose about 75 or 100,000 people just to the Hall H phenomenon. So we were in Ballroom 27, AB, having a conversation about women, female characters in Middle Earth. Earlier that day, we were in another room, elsewhere, with another several hundred people. It was all crammed to the gills every time. Even the guys at WETA, even Kate Hawley, standing room only, for her talking about crafting and manufacturing costumes for Rings of Power Season 1. But because you felt like you were really getting more or up close and personal, and you did feel more accessible to the creators that you really wanted to hang out with, I thought it was really lovely. And I don't recommend the Hyatt. I mean, I spent many sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, wondering why that bed is so bloody uncomfortable. I'm not the person who's going to give a good review to, the Hyatt, the Marquis Grand Hyatt. But forget it, that's just my thing. But
But
you know
the
what?
interesting thing about not having the big Hollywood panels is, in the last 15 years, everyone was always in a rush because they were on their way to get in line for a panel. They were on their way to another panel that they didn't want to miss, whether it's Hall H, whether it's Ballroom 20.
Yeah,
Everyone in the last 15 years was kind of stopped by the booth on the way to something. What we found here is everybody stopped and smelled the roses. They chatted with Kelly Rice, tea with Tolkien, Caitlin, Matt, Nerd of the Rings, Jed Brophy, Cliff, you when you were there.
yes,
Um, it was a comfortable pace, and it felt wonderful to connect on a one-to-one basis with all of you that stopped by. So I like this. I like this Comic Con. I think
I
there's a
did too.
balance to including Hollywood. I think there were some fun panels. Ninja Turtles had a Hall H panel, but Cliff, when we described what we expected at a War of the Rohirrim Hall H panel, you could see the excitement in the audience, didn't they? Didn't you?
hmm We were we were sure that there would be a Miranda Otto and a Brian Cox star turn, a star appearance, and imagine seeing Eowyn back on stage, coming back to be, the voice actress for War of the Rohirrim as narrator. There's a lot to be said about how Dame Judi Dench provides great narration and comedy as the narrator of Barbie. The new Greta Gerwig
No
number one
spoilers.
hit
Yo,
film.
chill. Stop. Stop. I did not want to know that.
What
Stop. We're not talking
spoilers?
about Barbie. This is a Lord of the Rings podcast. Thank you very much.
We're talking about a big star becoming a narrator of the film, which becomes a delightful presence in the story. So why wouldn't I be excited about Miranda
Spoilers.
Otto?
Spoilers. It's
No one
sold out
spoiled it.
everywhere.
It is not a
Anyway.
spoiler, dude.
Well,
It is
well,
so
we
not a
have
spoiler.
video. Before we get too far,
What?
I
What?
wanted to remind everybody that we do this podcast every week. We are in the third month of the writer's strike. We're in the third week of the SAG actors strike, which
Yes.
Sean Astin is part of the negotiating committee. We
Yes.
have a exclusive video here with Andy Serkis and Brian Cox to show you what they were doing instead of coming to San Diego, and it's really important. And I think we should play it. Hold on.
Yes.
The newsagents.
was Margaret Thatcher that implemented these laws, which made it really difficult for the trade unions to sort of show solidarity with each other and strike. It means that we are unable to do what SAG-AFTRA have done, which is to go on strike. It's crazy in some respects that a country with such an incredible sort of socialist organization such as the NHS also has these anti-worker laws, you know, and amazing that in America, where socialism is a dirty word, they are able to strike and they are able to show solidarity with each other. It's just super important that we as Equity, show our friends over there that we stand with them. And we will resist any kind of attempts by the streamers to kind of circumnavigate the strike by bringing work here. I think, that will be frowned upon. And I think even though we can't strike, we can at least protest.
I think that this really started initially as a support for writers, the WGA, because they are the most vulnerable, and they are the workers. Without them, we can't do anything, and that's the ones we have to take care of. And then when it came to it, SAG decided to support them. Unlike the Directors Guild of America, they didn't. They didn't come out and support, which I still cannot. I'm baffled by. I'm still baffled to this day. I'm hopefully somebody will explain it to me, but as yet nobody has explained it to me. So that's where I think we are. We're in a very strange situation that way. It's hard to say where it'll go, but it's going to go on for a while, I think. But it's the writers. That's what it's about. And when you see how the writers work, you know how that goes. That's who you have to. That's what this all was about. It was about the initial defense of the writers. And then, of course, we got into the whole AI thing. You can tell it's idiotic, because it doesn't. It's predigested. When you read something which is of a kind of predigested nature, and that, no actor what he saw would go, not very good. So it's to be avoided. But unfortunately, this thing that they want to hold your image in perpetuity, it cannot be allowed. That's worse. That's worse than actually not getting the money. It's worse that they could do that to you. AMPT, which is the Producers Guild, they want to scan performers' images, pay them for half a day, and then use their likeness for any purpose in perpetuity without their consent. That is more unforgivable than anything, and that's the thing that has to be stopped.
I think probably it's fair to say I'm probably one of the most scanned actors on the planet. So I know that you do run the risk of not only your own personal image, but your libraries of movement, libraries of work that you've done over the years can be used in other movies without your knowledge. So that's wrong. I mean, that is without being 100% sure, I'm pretty certain I know from the other side, I know how it's done because I've directed films and I know how it works. So that's got to stop. There has to be some regulation, and that's, with all of this new technology, it offers amazing creative possibilities, but it also offers the opportunity to really rob an actor of a livelihood, and that's what this is about, partially. And then, of course, there's the whole residual argument, of course. But and as I was just saying earlier, people assume that actors get paid huge wages. Well, yes, but then they don't work all the time. So that they might get they might do a TV series, then they might not work for a year after that. So meanwhile, everyone thinks because they're seeing them on the television that they must be immensely rich. Well, no, they're not, because they get taxed like everybody else. But then they've got to make that last for months and months and months. So today is really great, and hopefully the message will get out. The people that they watch on screen every day and get enormous pleasure from, or have their lives changed by in some respects. People think of the passion that people follow big franchise movies and characters in movies, and they mean a lot to them. So therefore, if you want this to continue, you have to support them, and not just think we're different. We're not. We're all just workers. We're providing a service. We've got a set of talents, and we're providing a service, and that's it.
That is so amazing. Wow. That coverage is amazing, isn't it?
I mean,
That certainly drives the point home, doesn't it? Really.
and remember, Brian Cox is Helm Hammerhand in the new
Yes.
War of the Rohirrim movie
Yes,
that we
he
talked
is.
about at Comic-Con. And of course, Andy Serkis, everybody knows. So, Lord of the Rings is at the forefront of this strike, including
Wow.
all the writers and people associated with Rings of Power. I've seen them on the strike lines here in LA. And we, as fans, I think, support this. Cliff, what was the vibe at Comic Con? Were fans disappointed that they spent all this money getting Comic Con tickets, buying hotels, traveling, and then no Rohirrim in Hall H?
No, the vibe wasn't disappointment. The vibe was just even more anticipation. In a strange way, the absence of having anybody there from Warner Brothers Discovery to talk about War of the Rohirrim, the complete absence of them being at Comic Con, might have had the surprising effect of really causing much more interest. We heard the way that the audience responded to us in our panel talking about the details. The vibe is very, very much solidarity, especially when you talk to Lord of the Rings fans online, on Discord, and when you sit down, just talk to them in person. They come up to you at the booth, and everyone agrees that the actors are being treated so poorly. Andy Serkis shares the unique perspective of having been, as a multi-hyphenate, he's both a director and an actor, and as a motion performance
He is
and
the
motion
most
capture actor.
digital. He is the most digital actor probably alive today.
You know, the way he said that, I thought,
All the
That is
Planet of the Apes movies.
that is it. That's the truth. That is the truth. He is the most scanned actor in the world of that tech, even more than the folks working on Avatar. Wow. I mean, but I'm excited to say that people were not thinking, "Oh, damn, this is such a waste of money that I've come here for Comic Con
No,
and I
there
don't
was
get
none
the
of
goods."
that. There was none of that.
None
All
of
the
that vibe at all.
fans really
No.
really supported actors. They understood what was at stake.
Mhm.
There was one booth in Artist Alley that was selling AI art. Comic-Con kicked him out on day 2, and his booth was empty the next day.
That's
So
really exciting. I didn't even know about that
Comic-Con
tidbit.
took a stand.
There you go. That's really super cool when you think about that.
So,
What?
but Cliff, how important is it for Lord of the Rings specific actors to be at the forefront of this?
You know, the fact that Sean Astin is at the negotiating, in the chair position, on the negotiating table with the Screen Actors Guild, going up against the producers. Uh, he is Samwise the Strong. He has always been a strong civic voice. You know, he did the Vox Populi radio cast. He has a political mind, which is very clear and very thorough. He's a very thoughtful and egalitarian man. Very thoughtful and egalitarian. And that's just the way Sean is. He's the perfect person as a representative of both those good, common sense hobbit qualities that Samwise has, and a person who's trying to do the right thing for his union and get representation for the little people, so to speak. No bad euphemism here, but for the little actors who are struggling to barely get above the threshold to get qualification for health care, just because they're getting paid pennies for the shows they've been working on. So I'm really quite impressed. The sense of Comic-Con was really bubbly and fun and upbeat. There was an effervescent kind of energy. But, you know, I also realized that people were happy to see that Comic-Con goes on all by itself without needing Hall H. It's not like, oh, we took out the liver, we took out one of the lungs, we lost one of the kidneys.
Feel any
it didn't
less.
feel like, no, it did not feel like,
any less.
no, honest to gosh, we did not feel like we were losing anything essential from the organism that is Comic-Con. I thought it was really cool. It was a great weekend, really.
I
cool.
tell you, the number one comment that we got at the booth, besides people happy to see us Lord of the Rings fans, is people were shocked that there wasn't any other Lord of the Rings on the show floor. WETA Workshop sat this one out. Sideshow Collectibles sat this one out, and So the One Ring was the only Lord of the Rings on the show floor, besides Jerry Vanderstelt, who did his
Sure
best
did.
Comic-Con ever in 25 years. Congrats to Jerry. He had an exclusive poster triptych. But the number one
Wow.
comment was, fans are ready for more Lord of the Rings at Comic-Con. Booth. I'm talking booth space, not necessarily Hall H or big panels. That too. But fans really wanted to see a bigger presence for Shire Post Mint, the coins we had at our booth. They wanted to see more actors and influencers and fans meeting people. Kelly M. Rice sold a ton of books by talking to fans. So I think there's an opportunity here for the Lord of the Rings, whoever's in charge, maybe to have a Lord of the Rings pavilion. I would love to have a Lord of the Rings like pavilion, kind of like how Star Wars has a pavilion and Dragon Ball has a pavilion. And
That's
Lego
$1 million
has a pavilion.
idea. Yeah, that is $1 million idea right there. Imagine a big walk-through pavilion so that everybody who is related to Lord of the Rings could be there together. The fans and some of the artists and some of the merch, different people. I think that's an excellent idea. Look, Matt, Nerd of the Rings, has joined us. He was an invaluable contribution to our efforts and our panels, our big presentation. We had special guests with us, and it was a really great conversation. The dispatches from Middle Earth. We went through.
That's right.
Yeah,
Let's
we
see if I
went
can
through a
bring up some
conversation.
slides.
Oh, you've got to have some of that stuff right there, Justin. Bring that up.
Yeah.
And you know how good it was to have the excellent company of Matt and his family. He's got the most adorable kids, and his brother and his family, and everyone's just so great. And I felt, you know what I felt like, Justin? This Comic-Con, coming back to see Daniel Falconer again, and getting a hug from Lawrence Makaware, and seeing Sir
Who
Richard
played
Taylor,
Lurtz, right?
who played Lurtz, of course, and other roles as well. Gosh, it just felt like family, like a nice family reunion. It was really
a
lovely.
family. Remember,
to
WETA was
see-
not there last year either.
They were not
So-
there, and Gino Acevedo was there, Oscar winner, and I was just delighted to be hanging out with everybody. And you know who really surprised me? Matt came out with this custom-made Tom Bombadil costume that he
Oh my
did.
gosh.
That he
It
did
won a
for the
prize in the
Thursday night
cosplay
party.
contest.
It was hilarious and awesome. It was so, and his son had a great Frodo costume. It was super cool. Everyone had some surprising costumes, and they were coming to visit us at the booth as well, not just showing up at the costume contest at our Thursday night party. But there was just a lot of people at our booth. It was so great. Jed Brophy proved to be the most valuable player on the Lord of the Rings team. Still, he's the MVP. Jed Brophy signing autographs, telling endless funny stories with people, cutting up behind the
And
scenes.
we had the
Cutting
headshot
up.
that we wanted we wanted to bring this to Comic-Con last
cutting
year,
up.
and for some reason it didn't work out. But we had the headshot of the orc that is on the YouTube thumbnail of the Comic-Con trailer from last year.
gosh.
And Jed
Does he have a
Brophy,
name?
you are in our
Do we know?
hearts and now on our walls with all the headshots. So this was the new headshot
funny.
from
too
from Jed
funny.
Brophy. It was so
Hello
much
there,
fun.
Keith. Hello, Keith. It's nice to see you too. And Jeff is here from New Zealand. Hello, Josh Long was with us. We had Kelly Rice. We had Caitlin from Tea with
And
Tolkien.
we had these.
We had these great Sauron shirts, and you know
We had
because-
these. You know
because
what?
that's-
And
I wish
and
I'd
the
gotten
only
one of
ones
those. Those are
this
fun shirts.
this was
dude.
our display large, but
Are
the
fun.
interesting
Very
thing
fun.
is that we sold out of almost everything except XX and XXX. So shout out to all of you hobbits and brace girdles for doing pandemic diets and I grew in size, but a lot of people didn't, and so we're selling out of our smaller sizes first. But this is fun, and of course
You're funny.
they had me put
You're so funny.
the little trademark for Sauron because and they have to protect their thing. But this is an official licensed thing, and of course Cliff, this was
love
the
that.
big Comic-Con reveal.
Ooh. Oh my gosh, the mini epic of Frodo with the Phial of Galadriel. As seen in The Return of the King, being hounded by the hideous creature, Shelob. And no thanks to you, Gollum, for putting us into that mess. No thanks to you, Gollum, you stinker.
So
Slinker.
these are amazing. Thank you guys for coming out and support. Oh, this is our display. So he's a little loose in the package.
And he's got spider webbing. We should tell everyone at home that when you actually get the toy itself, it does not come with the spider webbing all around. That's just something we added
It
to the
does.
display.
It does. 100%. It
comes with the webbing on it?
Spider webbing.
Oh,
Matt is in the
cool.
chat room. Nerd of the Rings is in the
I'm
chat
loving
room. He's the one that applied the spider webbing that comes with the box. So you
I
get
love
to
it.
apply the spider webbing yourself.
dying.
Missy
I'm
is in
dying.
the chat room.
I love that so much.
Wonderful. Did you get
And
it signed, Missy? We had some. We had Richard and Daniel Falconer and Richard Taylor and Jed Brophy signing some of these. Because what a special moment. Nerd of the Rings, there he is.
Indeed.
You add it yourself. My son and I are starting a Lord of the Rings marathon.
That's too
Awesome.
hilarious. Well, I stand corrected. I think that's wonderful to have it signed. Oh, Taylor, that wonderful gentleman who works as an editor for Matt, Nerd of the Rings. Taylor showed up, and oh my gosh, his Rohan warrior armor, the costume that was, replete with leather, handcrafted details, and hand-woven mesh mail. The chainmail, the clinking chainmail that we could all hear coming down the hallway a million miles away. It was fantastic. 60 pounds of armor, says Matt. And he was brilliant. I got some great snapshots of him. This is fantastic. Taylor was so fun and so cool to hang out with, and that armor was really well done, and got the compliments of Richard Taylor and everyone. They were amazed at how he built that. A lot of fans were there showing their creativity. Lots.
Before we jump into some of the panel stuff we talked about, I just want to say that this was WETA Workshop's first panel they've hosted on their own, and you guys showed up in a big way. They turned away 400 people from the line. It was at capacity. WETA Workshop. I mean, we could have told you that WETA Workshop needs a bigger room.
Can I tell you the truth? The only Hall H experience that didn't happen. I mean, there was no Hall H experiences, but the WETA lineup, and going down the back stairs and down the back side of the convention center, down to the harbor and further down, just to get in line for WETA Workshop, that felt as close as we could have possibly gotten to being
a long Hall H.
Yeah, a long
Hall H.
These
are available now, by the way. These mini epics.
Really?
They are available online as well, but at the con, of course, you don't pay for shipping at the con, and we had some. You could get it signed if you showed up at the right time. Thank you so much, Elf, for mentioning Orc One Ring Celebration. The One Ring had our own convention several years ago.
I do remember that. I do remember
that was so much fun. Of course, we can't do a convention now because. But if there's an opportunity, if you went to Comic-Con and you have an opportunity to give feedback on the panels you went to, make sure you tell Comic-Con, I don't know if it's in the app or whatever, the feedback on the WETA Workshop, give them a bigger room. Give them Ballroom 20 even.
Give them Ballroom 20. Yeah,
they could
give
pack
WETA
the place.
Workshop. They would pack Ballroom 20. Do you know what? I agree with that 1,000%. They could really pack that joint. When the cast of Futurama goes up to do their famous thing every summer, they do a full half-an-hour script reading of a whole original episode of Futurama. All the voice actors are up there, and they're in Ballroom 20. And they barely fill it up, maybe 3/4 of the way full. They barely fill that up. And with WETA having people...
3/4 is a lot. Hey, chill.
It is a lot.
It's a
Ballroom
lot.
20 is huge. But I know that WETA Workshop would do better. They would just pack that place.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed the Women in Middle Earth panel with Kelly and Tea with Tolkien, and of course our panel, please, if there's an opportunity to give feedback, we want to be invited back. We'd love to give updates on the panels. Now, Cliff, at our panel, which kind of came together the last minute because there were some
yes.
cancellations, and
was a nice
Comic-Con said,
surprise.
"Hey guys, you want to do an extra
did.
Lord of the Rings panel?" They told us
Yes.
last week, like the week
Yeah.
before Comic-Con. So we had to put something together. Luckily, you stepped up. Josh Long stepped up. He's in the chat room right now. Nerd of the Ring stepped up. He was right there. And of course, our friend Jason Charles Miller, who has been on the show several times. You've seen him on Fellowship of Fans as well. He's a voice in Lord of the Rings Rise to War. He's also on a voice and on the soundtrack of Gears of War and Final Fantasy, and too many credits. So, but the interesting thing is Jason Charles Miller, who was on our panel, is a member of SAG.
Yes, he is.
How was a SAG member on a panel right after Jamie Lee Curtis on her own panel?
Well, because the Screen Actors Guild made it very clear that their active members in good standing are allowed to go to Comic-Con and speak about other things, but they're not allowed to speak about or promote struck productions. And
which is anything coming out in production or coming out. You can talk about things in the past.
When that's exactly how he did it. That's how he joined us. He was not talking about, any of the upcoming things that are affected by the strike. He was talking about other reflections and discussion and analysis. And it was really interesting.
What does this mean for future cons like Dragon Con and New York Comic Con? Cliff, do you expect possibly a little more energy, maybe more celebrities going to Dragon Con and New York in September and October just to be a fan?
Yeah, I think some celebrities will do that. Some celebrities aren't going to go because the studio's not going to foot the bill to travel them out there and all that stuff. But I know some celebs really, really love going to these conventions, and they make money themselves. They sell their own merch and headshots, and they get to meet fans. Yeah, it's a thing.
There was a ton of Rings of Power cosplay. But, Cliff, we do this show every week.
Did you see the Tar Muriel? Queen Regent Tar Muriel. She was amazing. She had such a beautiful costume. I loved it. And you know what? She showed up and got to speak to Kate Hawley, the costume designer of Rings of Power, and it was really touching and very sweet. Actually, Kate was so kind of blown away, and it was like, she was like, I see you, and I feel seen. I feel seen, is what Kate Hawley said, because there she is, and this wonderful character from Rings of Power was represented. And so I got to go up, and it was kind of funny. I was one of the last questions of the night for the audience Q&A, and I wanted to ask her about the dragon skins that were protecting the orcs from the sun, like sunscreen, because they haven't yet obliterated the sky with clouds of volcanic ash and volcano clouds. So I'm like, intriguing. Let's talk about that. And as soon as I asked the question, Kate said, "Oh, I know you. You're that guy from the One Ring." And I'm like, "Yeah, hi." And I got real sheepish and funny. And I said, "Hello, Kate."
Well, I had a private conversation with Kate at the Good Omens party. We bumped into each other. I didn't even know she was there. I asked her a very specific question about Sauron and Galadriel, colloquially known as Haladriel. And I will save that answer.
Tunic. You asked about
I will save that answer for a future show.
I understand. Okay, we will get to that on a future show.
But Cliff, we had an amazing panel.
It was great fun.
And Cliff, we do this show every week. We live and breathe the daily news. We've been doing this for 12 years, 600 episodes. So it was kind of surprised to me that people did not know. A lot of people at Comic-Con did not know all the news, comings and goings for Lord of the Rings. And people walked out of the room shocked that there was so much going on. And I thought, real quick, we'll just kind of blast through our panel, some of the key things that were in our panel. Of course, folks, the world is changing. Well, that didn't change. Hold on.
What didn't change?
I changed the slide, but it did not change on this graphic.
Yeah. Okay,
well,
here you go.
Maybe that won't work.
A little bit of technical problem.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay. And you're right, Otaku Senpai, Gen Con is right around the corner. If I didn't have tickets to the Hollywood Bowl, I would be in Indianapolis at the Gamers Convention. So I could play Magic the Gathering, Universes Beyond, Lord of the Rings with all the Magic players. And I would have brought all my Dragon Dice with me to play Dragon Dice because it's the coolest battle dice game. And I would have brought my Disney Villainous to play against other evil Disney villains. They're having a tournament there at Gen Con, don't you know? Hey, Matt, Nerd of the Rings, is going to be at Gen Con. That's very exciting. I'm so super jealous, super duper, burning desire to be there. I have always wanted to go. All right, guess what? I'm just going to have to get my tickets, go to Gen Con next year. Going to have to go next year. But we did talk about gaming, video gaming. We talked about...
That's right. Well, we opened with this, how the rights changed.
Yeah, this is a really interesting way to start the convo. It was great.
You know, the reality is Amazon and Embracer Group are in business. They're competitors and they're friends. They're doing deals together, and
yes,
they have different sets of rights. Amazon Studios has TV shows that you saw. Why is that? And then Embracer Group has all the other rights, including some theme park stuff. So there's a ton of Tolkien books, movies, TV shows, and games. And Cliff, I was not aware. I was just the moderator of the panel, but I was shocked to learn that there's 2 new books from Tolkien coming out this year.
I think that we got a lot of energy out of the group just by telling them this. This energized the room as much as talking about the anime film. It really did. I saw some people perk up their eyes and sit right upright in their chairs and sit up in straight attention, almost military attention, when we said, look, the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien will now be expanded with additional new letters and notes from the professor himself that have been unearthed, and editors have put them together in this new edition. I'm so excited about that. I cannot tell you how excited.
And the conversation on the panel, we won't rehash everything, but it was in this era of new adaptations that are kind of expanding the legendarium and the lore. It's really important that we have more access to more letters to give us a sense of what Tolkien was feeling like and thinking about, and how his thoughts changed over certain characters over the years.
This is a chance where you don't have to go to Marquette University and pretend to be a research student doing his thesis on a college paper and then ask gently for the people at Marquette to bring up the gentle refrigerated case with the refrigerated documents, and suddenly that's the only chance you'd ever get on Earth to look at those manuscripts. You know how I feel about that? To me, that's my Dan Brown Da Vinci Code. That's my Da Vinci Code fantasy.
This is the book of Christmas. This is the book to put on your Christmas list. The updated and revised letters of
his personal thoughts, fresh. And it's very exciting indeed.
Yeah, they're fresh.
Yeah, they're fresh. Hey, that illustrated Hobbit is also gorgeous in this,
And of course, we talked a lot about Rohirrim because everybody expected Rohirrim to be in Hall H. A lot of people did not know that this movie was coming out.
That's right. A lot of people didn't know that it was 2D hand-drawn animation either. A lot of people did not realize that. And this would have been the time when Brian Cox and Miranda Otto would have been brought out on stage to talk about this amazing thing. So exciting.
Our friend Jason Charles Miller explained a little bit about the anime box office, how globally this year, 2023, anime might be the biggest genre of theatrical films in the world.
I believe it. I do believe it. And, not that everybody was comfortable talking about that at Comic-Con, but the American comics publishers have been put on edge because of the wild success of published manga. And it is very clear.
We're talking about anime, not manga. Like
But
there's
there's a
no
difference.
manga coming out
No. But the
for
connected popularity.
Rohirrim.
But you connect the dots, Justin. The popularity is still
Anime
there.
is popular. Manga, the sales are down. Anime movies and TV shows are more popular
Are
than ever.
And well, look, One Piece live action is about to debut very soon on Netflix, and they probably would have had a huge Hall H presentation there,
Oh, totally.
touting that. They would have, but everyone's just as interested in more in the Japanese artists and manga and anime than they are than their American counterparts. I find that fascinating that these dips
And Cliff,
in
the
the industry.
the applause when this slide came up and everybody freaked out that John Howe and Alan Lee are coming back. WETA Workshop's involved, and Howard Shore has licensed his music. He's not composing anything new, but he's licensed his music.
That means that the composers, like when you're watching a show on a Star Wars show on Disney Plus, you'll hear the new composer stuff, but every now and then a very familiar theme of a character will kick in. So that's what it's going to be like for War of the Rohirrim. We don't have an announcement yet about who will be the real composer.
But we did reveal one of the reveals at our Comic-Con panel, exclusive Red Siren. We have heard again Green Dragon gossip, folks. I will tell you this is gossip. Warner Brothers wants to do 3 more films. That's the deal that they have. It is not a trilogy. They're going to be 3 independent standalone movies.
Absolutely. They were thrilled to hear that. 3 separate new motion pictures. And we had to tell everyone, Warner Brothers wants to get Peter Jackson and his team to come back. And at my right-hand side, Matt Nerd of the Rings said, "We just want to get the band back together." And everyone was like, yes. It's exactly what we want.
And then, of course, Amazon is just finished filming some stuff with season 2 of Rings of Power. It has equal budget for season 2. They've spared no expense. They've greenlit 3 seasons, spin-offs options. They had $100 million opening, and we saw the passionate fans. You mentioned Tarmiriel cosplay, but the point is the big learning at Comic-Con, Cliff, is Rings of Power has a lot of fans, and they're growing. It's not representative of what you see on Twitter and YouTube. People love Rings of Power. They love escaping to Middle Earth in the Second Age.
Well, do you know what? Caitlin said something on Twitter today, and it was really a lovely thought, and I would like to encapsulate that and paraphrase. She said, it was really interesting at Comic-Con, and this was what she said: the feeling that everybody in Tolkien community was willing to engage and have really enriched conversations and felt very free to converse and talk with very differing and sometimes even opposing and contrasting ideas about Tolkien and the Rings of Power. And she said it was so freeing that everybody at Comic-Con felt that comfortable. And then she said, I get back on Twitter and it's the opposite, where people are just being, toxic and weird and retracting back into their little entrenched positions. And I have to admit that
real life is not Twitter. I don't know how many times we have to say this. Twitter is not real life. Neither is YouTube. Tea with Tolkien reminder. Is a great follow.
Yes.
So if you want to follow Tea with Tolkien, her name's Caitlin, but she goes by Tea with Tolkien on Instagram and Twitter.
A cup of
and
tea.
Everything.
A cup of tea with Tolkien. And she offers book reading guides and study group services with her group. Her community is great. But here's the funny thing. I want to observe on that for just a second. I felt like I could sit and talk to Daniel Falconer. I could sit and talk to you at the booth. We had fans come up and talk to Kelly and talk about narrative and the power of mythology. And we were all there together. And it was very communal. It was a very community. It was a very community building experience.
And again, we talked about this earlier in the show that people were not on their way to something else. People took a breath, took some time to chat with us. We also talked about some of the video games coming out. Corey Olson, the Tolkien professor, sent us a video from Return to Moria and explained what the game is about, and it was really exciting to see. We announced that these are the new big budget games. WETA, Workshop, and Private Division are making their own video game based on Lord of the Rings. Electronic Arts is making action adventure games with Lord of the Rings, and Embracer has done a deal with Amazon Games. Yes, that's the smile logo at the bottom for Lord of the Rings online MMO.
Amazon Games,
just like a Final Fantasy type game. It's going to be AAA, new graphics, and it's going to be based in the third age. So Amazon is putting all their money.
Massive multiplayer online RPG. You know what? Somebody asked a very adroit question. Thank you, During the Seventh. He's asking, so are we going to get the first two of the new Warner Brother Discovery movies before the end of Rings of Power?
Who knows? We don't have any information. But Cliff, you and Jason Charles Miller had a great conversation on the panel about tabletop gaming.
Oh, yeah, we did. That One Ring RPG that you're showing right now has been so very successful, and it's got a lot of fans excited. I love a good RPG. As long as you got a good group of adventurers and a great DM, a great dungeon master, you'll be fine. You're going to have a great experience. But doing it set in a very specific Tolkien universe is delightful, because you get to bring your own particular knowledge of lore and history and Tolkien languages, and you can bring that to bear as your character as you play. We also dipped our toes into the water to talk a little bit, not just about the RPG and its great breathability as a game for Tolkien fans. We also went right into the Magic the Gathering and Lord of the Rings combo, because it's been fire, absolute fire. The experience of getting these beautiful cards and looking at the artwork and playing Magic the Gathering all over again has been so exciting for everyone, really exciting. And we talked all about that too. We made jokes. There were
people that were playing Magic at the party. We encouraged people to bring their Magic decks to the party, and I saw 3 tables that were playing Magic all night long, even during the cosplay contest. So shout out to everybody that was playing Magic at
that was super fun.
The Magic in Middle Earth party. It was so fun to see all of you.
A big shout out to that clever Magic collector. He went up to Lawrence with a nice shiny gold Sharpie, and he got Lawrence Makoare to sign his, and he has a beautiful curvy flowing signature, and those cards represent the characters he played in Gothmog, the First Lieutenant, and the Witch King and the Witch King. So it was really cool to have Witch King cards signed by Lawrence, and I wish I'd brought mine.
This plays, but the Tolkien Society sent us a preview of their Oxenmoot, which a lot of people are going to.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
I don't know if there's audio.
Just some lovely music.
Want to join over 500 fans in the world's longest-running Tolkien event? Join us for Oxenmoot 2023 from the comfort of your own home.
Well, there you go. The Oxenmoot is going to be streamed online, and it is in person. And Cliff, I believe Tea with Tolkien and Nerd of the Rings will be there in the UK, where Oxenmoot takes place with the Tolkien Society.
That is later this year, yes?
Yeah, in a couple months. And now, Cliff,
very exciting.
I was pleasantly surprised to see how much Lord of the Rings is coming out, and to surprise everybody in the audience and at the booth with so much Lord of the Rings. There's so much to look forward to and have a good time with.
It was a great chat, and we did energize the room because so many people came up to us afterwards and said, that was a great panel. I learned so much. We heard a lot of that at our wonderful little booth, 1220. And yes, Oxenmoot online. I don't have to fly to England. I can do Oxenmoot right here in my lovely living room.
That's right.
I love that. I've been to Oxenmoot, and there's nothing like it. It's an amazing experience to be there amongst the most hardcore of the Tolkien nerds.
Cliff,
It's the best. It's the best.
with
I love
no
it.
with no big Hall H panels, do you think it will be easier to get tickets next year?
Oh, you know what? I think that every year is going to be a weird thing for tickets. I always assume the worst when it comes to getting into that waiting line, that online lobby where you have to wait and get in the room and then get in the queue and get tickets for next year. And you have to do all of it 11 months ahead of time for next year.
Yeah. So
Thanks, Monica.
next year we fully expect Rings of Power Season 2 Hall H presentation. We expect
I would think so. Yes.
a DVD release and or announcement and or party with War of the Rohirrim, because right now Rohirrim is coming out in April. So by July it should be on DVD and streaming. So we hope to have a lot more fun, more than we had even this year. But we had so much fun this year. Comic-Con is fully back. Everybody was there to just hang out. Some amazing cosplay. I don't know what else to say. It was just, and the support you guys gave for, all of our silly little T-shirts and the mini epic, and the love you showed to Jed Brophy.
Chad Brophy was
really good.
He was such a powerhouse of energy. He was even doing impersonations of me. He was, even because I wasn't there at the booth, and suddenly he was impersonating me, and everyone was laughing. And his energy is just unstoppable. I don't know how he does it. I really don't know how he does it.
And we have we got a lot of Green Dragon gossip that I don't want to go into yet, because I have to double check and triple check if what I heard at Comic-Con is true. Because we're not going to even hint at something until we check our sources.
Are you going to?
There's a lot.
You're not going to talk about that then. You're not going to talk about that then.
There's a lot. Like Gollum swore to secrecy here.
I know.
By the way, he went to go see Barbie. Gollum was angry all weekend that he didn't get to go see Barbie. That we had him locked up in the truck most of the weekend. Well, that's what you get, you little stinker.
He didn't get his Barbenheimer experience. That's funny. Okay, then we will save the Green Dragon gossip until we get some very specific confirmations.
Shout out to
confirmation
Diamond Select. They gave everybody all the goodie bags at the party. Got these hard plastic Magic the Gathering protector cases. Shout out to Magic for hooking it up. Every bag got a pack of Magic cards. We surprised everybody. And big shout out to Jerry Vanderstelt for giving us a bunch of posters to give away. So the first 75 people that got their goodie bag got a Jerry Vanderstelt poster. Check out his website. Just Google it, Jerry Vanderstelt. He's got officially licensed, brand new art prints that were debuted at Comic-Con, and they were gorgeous. And his booth always had a crowd. Always had a crowd.
Isn't that amazing? I think this Comic-Con was rather robust. Really, it really was.
Yeah. Anyone that says it was less of a Comic-Con is not being honest with you. This Comic-Con was just as busy as last year. It was more busy than any of the Comic-Con at homes that we did over the pandemic. It was a return. It was a return to form where, Cliff, you've been going again back all the way to the Two Towers 20 years ago. Like, there was room to breathe, room to talk, room to take it slow and take in all the sights and sounds.
I was there before X-Men was released. Before the first Fellowship of the Ring teaser was released. It was just such a different time back then. A director of a major hit fan film could walk around all by himself and just experience things and step into the booths and buy some toys and hang out with people, and no one would even know. That's what it was like back then. Really.
Well, Anonymous Girl, I haven't been to Comic-Con yet. I like to say that Comic-Con is like the Grand Canyon. Everyone should experience it once. It's either for you or not your vibe. It is a very specific experience. It's magic to some. It's stressful to others. But it's kind of like, it's like the Grand Canyon. Some people like to go to the Grand Canyon once, look at the hole in the ground, and say, I went there. Same with Comic-Con. Some people, I recommend, if you ever have a chance, make an effort to go to Comic-Con San Diego.
I agree.
Because
I agree with that.
it needs to be experienced. What will happen for New York Comic-Con? We don't know yet. What will happen for Dragon Con? We don't know yet. But we had some amazing parties at both those conventions last year. Whether there will be any actors there to sign stuff and hang out with fans, we don't know yet. I think Sean Astin is trying to get a deal done, and Sean Astin is creating new rules for influencers and for cosplayers and for actors to maybe do some of these conventions and earn some money at Dragon Con and New York Comic Con. But so stay tuned to the One Ring, because we will announce everything that we're doing at those cons when we have more information.
I'm going to study up on the Marc Evanier talent, because evidently this was Marc Evanier's 55th consecutive appearance at San Diego Comic-Con. I thought that I had tenure going for over 22 years in a row, but wow, and I imagine his panels are absolutely slamming. That's fantastic. I can just imagine, hey, I saw some wonderful people at Comic-Con, and it reminds me that I'm always thrilled to see family again. It's like our extended family at the show. It's so fun to see everybody.
You know who was there at the party? And
yeah,
I did not know until later. Barrick the Horse from the Unhinged Fellowship.
Yes,
the Unhinged Fellowship is a group of Twitter accounts that have taken the identity of things in Rings of Power, and Barrick the Horse was there hanging out with us. So shout out to Barrick.
Hilarious.
I wish we had more time to hang out and neigh together.
Yeah, nay. Big shout out. He was really fun. It was a pleasure to meet everyone there. Well, we've earned our rest. We didn't catch the con crud. Nobody got COVID this time. And guess what? We're actually just going to rest another couple of days. And tonight's show is going to be a short show. And we're going to renew our commitment to bringing you Green Dragon gossip after we have something more concrete to gossip about. But looking back and reflecting on Comic-Con for 1 hour brings me so many memories. I'm flush with memories and how many wonderful, talented people I was surrounded with. It was just a great experience. And thank you, Justin, again, on behalf of everybody at the OneRing.net team. Thank you for putting it all together and pushing the buttons and signing the contract and getting us that fan booth, that big experience we have to hang out at our official capacity, because no one else was there representing J.R.R. Tolkien the way that we were. And that's what we do. We just bring it. That's what we've been doing. And thank you for helping us.
Shout out to WETA Workshop. I hope you have a panel next year, WETA. I hope you have a booth, and all the fans want to see a booth. Shout out to the Hillywood show who showed their Hobbit and Lord of the Rings videos a packed room in the same room as WETA. The Hillywood show packed the same room as WETA, showing their amazing YouTube videos. They've been on the show many times before, and of course it was a packed room for Women in Middle Earth, hosted by Kathy, who's there in the chat as Garfa Mao, and Kelly Rice, and of course Tea with Tolkien. I expect there's more to come from the conversation with Women in Middle Earth, so make sure you follow Kelly Rice and Tea with Tolkien, because the content they were talking about, there wasn't enough time, and I wanted to go deeper into all the different characters that Tolkien wrote, and yeah, I was enthralled. So, and thank you to Jason Charles Miller, Nerd of the Rings, Josh Long, our collectibles editor, for getting Diamond Select Toys to hook up everybody at the party. What an amazing thing. So really we just loved it,
wasn't it?
And Shire Post Mint, we had coins for Shire Post Mint at the booth, and of course Jed Brophy, who flew out on his own dime. Jed Brophy wants to hang out with you fans, on his own dime. So shout out to Jed. Thank you to everybody that bought a headshot and helped cover the
Dude,
cost of that flight.
I think it's time for me to do the rest of the talking and you rest your voice. It's time for Justin to rest his voice, ladies and gentlemen. He's been working hard and he's just shredded everything he's got. We're going to sign off, but before we do, yes, we will confirm that Torn, theonering.net, will have a wonderful appearance, a full appearance, and a fan table at New York Comic Con. Always. We'll definitely be there at New York Comic Con. And there should be more news and information later on if we do any kind of a moot or a little pub gathering or anything like that. So pay attention to the main site of theonering.net on your browser. Otherwise, I encourage all you fine folks to follow us on our Discord channel and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, X. I just said that out loud. And whatever platform, you'll find us still on Facebook with our community group with the worlds and works of J.R.R. Tolkien. Myself, Clifford Broadway. I am QuickBeam2000 on Instagram and Twitter. And you know, it's funny. We're going to have a big picnic. Not only are we going to have fans at the New York City Comic Con, but if you're here on the West Coast in California, come to Los Angeles on Saturday, September 23rd for the big Bilbo and Frodo's birthday bash, a huge Baggins birthday picnic that we'll be having. And I can't thank you enough, Justin. You did amazing things. You're working hard, dude. You're really working hard. And we had a wonderful group. Josh, you were particularly awesome. Kathy, my dear Garfemau, you were particularly awesome. All those hardworking folks, and Matt, Nerd of the Rings, so grateful to have you and your family and all these many blessings around all of us, and Taylor to join us. It was a great time. It's time to feed the cat. That's what it is. I hear that sound in the background. Mithrandir, the pesky little gray wanderer, is ready for his dinner. So it's now time for me to say goodnight, everybody. But before we leave, I remind you that we will be back here for another wonderful show of Torn Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, right here on theonering.net next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Gonna be here. I'll be here. And find me online and say hi. We'll talk about the Barbenheimer experience, okay? And other interesting things that strike our fancy. Please take good care of yourselves. Be gentle with one another. Stay cool. Be healthy. You know, get that ice cube tray out of the freezer and put it on your forehead because you're going to need it. It's getting hot up there. Okay, folks? Much love to everyone. And congratulations to the Tolkien community at large. Just congratulations to all the Ringer fans at large for really bringing it. You guys brought it to San Diego, and it was magnificent. And I'm feeling twice and thrice blessed to have known all you folks. It was great to be there. So I wish you well. And so we say good night and good luck. Or better yet, buenos noches y buena suerte. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great night.